Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Amir Karam, board certified facial plastic surgeon and founder and creator of Karam MD Skin. I specialize in facial rejuvenation, which basically means I help people look as young as they feel. And on today's episode of Skin School, we have a very, very important topic to discuss. And that is the hierarchy of things that you can do to defy skin aging, to actually make a difference in your skin and actually win the game over skin aging and come out on top with beautiful, youthful skin well into your 60s, 70s, and 80s. If you do the right things, and if you happen to be, especially if you're listening to this and you're in your 20s and 30s, well, you've got the biggest leg up on anyone else. But even if you're in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, there are still some very fundamental things that you can do starting now that will actually make a big difference. And what I'm gonna talk about in this video is what I consider the most important steps, the priorities that you need to take if you want to have those changes. And this is by far the number one biggest confusion that people have. People do it in the complete opposite order in most cases, and jumble up these things and really don't understand what should go before the other. But we're going to talk about this and put it all into perspective. And I think this is probably one of the most foundational and important videos that we're going to present. And I want you to be a part of it through the end so that you can really become empowered and understand how to manage your skin aging process. All right, without further ado, let's break it down. Number one, obsessive sun protection. And what I mean by that is this. We got to start with the foundational knowledge. What is sun doing? UV light, it's in sunlight, right? UVB light is what gives us sunburn. UVA light is what ages the skin. How does it age the skin? It ages the skin by breaking down collagen, number one. Number two, by stimulating melanocytes and creating discolorations, brown spots, sunspots. Now, sunspots are one thing, but when your skin loses collagen continuously over time, invariably you're gonna get fine lines and wrinkles, the skin's gonna start to look crepey, you're gonna get that old weathered looking skin. Now, the number one accelerator of collagen loss is sunlight, is UVA light. It happens naturally anyway. All you're doing with the consistent exposure of light is instead of a curve going, like this, you're making the curve head down, straight down. You and I, we're all losing collagen. We peak at around 27, and from that point forward, it's just a downhill slide from there on. It becomes much quicker post-menopause and perimenopause, but generally speaking, everything that would naturally occur is being exacerbated and accelerated with sun exposure. So number one, you use a broad spectrum sunblock all the time. You go out and about, you're using it on your face, you're blocking the physical rays from hitting. Now, I like mineral-based sunscreens like zinc, titanium oxide based, because they're free of a lot of the chemicals that unfortunately get absorbed into your tissues. And I just think overall, a physical blocker that has zinc or titanium is much safer and better and even more effective. So I'm a big fan of that. In addition to that, you wear a hat. If you really want to take it to the next level like my wife does, and believe me, for the last 15, 20 years, she has been diehard sun protection, and probably for the last 3 or 4 years has been using actually a Coolie Bar sun mask that basically when she goes out on her walks and hikes with her friends, etc., she wears this. I mean, she's not trying to impress anyone, but she really wants to protect her skin. Plus she has melasma, which ultimately can be really exacerbated by sun exposure. And I did a whole video on both sunscreen and melasma management separately. But bottom line is, I cannot overemphasize this enough. This is the foundational starting point of any kind of skincare routine. And why that is because sun exposure has literally been associated with 70% of skin aging. All right, think about that. 70% of skin aging is related to sun exposure. And I'm gonna give you one last thing here. When I see patients who are from Canada or Northern America or areas where there's not a lot of sun exposure and they're not out there, baking in the sun, guess what? They come to me for surgery, their skin looks literally like a 30-year-old, and they happen to be in their 60s or even sometimes 70s, and their skin looks flawless. Sun exposure is super, super important part of this. All right, number two, diet. Now, a lot of times we think about skin in a completely different way. We gotta remember, the skin is an organ. It's the largest organ of our body. And as a result of that, it has all the basic nutritional needs that any other organ in our body has. And specifically when it comes to skin, because skin is so rich in collagen, and collagen requires proteins, amino acids, it requires vitamin C, it requires zinc, it requires copper, literally just to make a collagen fibril. You need to have an excellent diet. You need to have a diet that is rich in amino acids. You need to have a diet that's rich in vitamin C, that has zinc, copper, and all the other elements. Vitamin B, niacinamide is really, really important as well. Vitamin A is very important for antioxidant purposes. You know, all of these things relate to each other in order to give skin an opportunity to be healthy, but fundamentally to stimulate collagen. Now, I did a whole video on the use of collagen supplements, and I broke this down. This is actually an excellent video. I strongly recommend you watch this, because what it does is it talks about how nutrition and how collagen, taking it externally, can actually impact the use in the body, and why you need those as building blocks to be able to create collagen going forward, and what's missing from a lot of these collagen powders and what you can do to supplement that. So in basic summary, you need a diet that's rich in protein, especially protein that has the amino acids glycine, proline, and lysine in there. Those are the ones that collagen really requires. You need to make sure that you're getting plenty of those. You also need to make sure you're in a diet that has good essential fatty acids, because that's important for the skin. You want to make sure you have a diet rich in antioxidants to help support the skin and keep the oxidation levels low. You want to make sure that you're on basically all the essential vitamins, because they all have a role in that as well, and you know, the fatty acids and everything else that really play a role. So you want to get a nice broad range of whole food diet that is healthy. That's the best diet for your skin. So now everything I'm going to say after this is about stimulating collagen, because if you're going to stimulate collagen, which is basically means stimulating collagen growth, you need to have the building blocks around. Otherwise, what's the point? If you don't have the material to make collagen, that's where diet comes in. All right, so that puts diet in perspective for you. A good diet is essential for good skin. All right, number 3, it's your lifestyle. Believe it or not, your lifestyle plays a huge role in how your skin looks. If you literally go one night with poor sleep, get 4 or 5 hours of sleep, 2 hours, it's gonna show in your skin. You're gonna have this kind of grayish, darker looking skin, not vibrant, the blood flow decreases, etc. All of that is really important. So a lifestyle that emphasizes good sleep, good diet, good hydration. Your skin's not gonna really show signs of dehydration unless you're really, really dehydrated, but at the end of the day, good hydration is just a healthy thing, and having good levels of hydration will positively impact your skin. Exercise is really important. Getting the body to sweat, getting those pore channels to open up, very, very important. Bring blood flow to the skin, very important to get that glow. Also, things that you shouldn't be doing. Number 1, you should not be smoking or vaping. That's terrible for your skin, both in terms of collagen breakdown, etc. And then also, alcohol in excess is not great. It's dehydrating, it's just all around a poison for your body. So it also is not a great thing to have on a regular basis or too much of, because it can have negative effects on the skin as well. And then the big one that affects everything is stress. I mean, people who are stressed start to have all sorts of different breakdowns of their tissues and all the other things that come along with it. So having a lifestyle that is overall low in stress is also going to reflect on your skin. So lifestyle is number 3, really important. So now we just said sun protection, we said diet, and we said light. We haven't even started talking about the things that you can actually do to make your skin look better from an active point of view. These are just foundational things. All this has to be in place if you really want to defy skin aging. All right, number 4 is daily skincare and a good skincare routine. This is honestly the whole basic reason why I developed the trifecta, first of all, because I want to make this step really, really easy, and you'll see why. So number 1, what you need to do is you have to cleanse your skin. I recommend cleansing twice a day using a non-foaming gentle cleanser. Gel is better than anything else. If you're getting a lot of foam on your face, you're causing microabrasions, you're causing the skin to dry, you're causing inflammation. It might not feel right after, especially the first few times you're using it, because you're used to a lot of foaming and you think that's what cleansing is about. But the reality is you really want to use a non-foaming cleanser because of the reasons I just mentioned. So cleansing is a foundational step 1 so that the skin is nice and clean. In the trifecta, we have a product called Rinse, which meets all these criteria in addition to having anti-inflammatories and aloe and all these other things that calm the surface to allow the penetration of the products that you're going to use to actively stimulate collagen. And what are those products? So basically, the active ingredients that you want to have as a must-have as part of any good skincare routine, you want to have retinol to stimulate collagen, to decrease pigmentation. Vitamin C works in the same way. It stimulates collagen, decreases pigmentation, and functions as an antioxidant, which is really important. So retinol, vitamin C need to be included. You want to have niacinamide in your skincare routine because niacinamide, which is vitamin B3, basically helps with the function of the skin barrier. It's anti-inflammatory, it's hydrating, it's a really important part of the overall skin health. You want to also make sure you have things that are going to bring moisture and improve oil balance. So moisture is brought with like hyaluronic acid, which is a topical serum you put on that helps draw fluid and causes the skin to kind of plump up and look better right away. And then the idea of pores is an interesting one because as we age, our pores get a little bit dilated because they get clogged. And when they get clogged and dilated, you look like you have these open pores. And what you need to do there is you need to manage the sebum that goes in and out of these sebaceous gland ducts. And by adding external oil, basically through lipid complex, you decrease the amount of production that happens at the sebaceous gland level. And that in combination with good cleansing and good all-around skin hygiene decreases the pore clogging and pore dilation. That's a really important aspect of things. And then ultimately also, you also want to make sure that your skin is getting stuff that is going to decrease pigmentation. As I mentioned, retinol and vitamin C do that, but also there are specific non-hydroquinone lighteners that work at the level of the melanocyte to decrease the conversion of the melanin and decrease production of melanin. So that's really, really important so your skin can look more clear and you have better tone. Exfoliation is very important to remove all the dead stuff off of the skin. We have a product called Polish, which you can use at home, which is an enzymatic exfoliator. Otherwise, you go in and you get microdermabrasions, you get light chemical peels to remove all the dead debris and all that stuff off the surface of the skin. So again, the pores and everything else and the penetration in the skin just can look more vibrant and bright. And other very useful additives to have as part of the active ingredient mix are growth factors. You want to be able to stimulate more collagen. Remember, at the end of the day, the skin is losing collagen. You're going to hear me say this over and over again until this is like become second nature, but that's the essence. That's the battle we're fighting, is the loss of collagen. So the more things you can do to stimulate collagen, the better it is. So that comes down to growth factors, which work also at the fibroblast level in conjunction with vitamin C and retinol, in conjunction with peptides, which is another thing that's really useful. All of these things can stimulate more and more collagen, and if we can do that, we can start to turn the curve against itself, and as opposed to going like this forever, we go like this and then start to build back up, or if you're young enough, you can maintain this. So that big drop that you see during perimenopause and menopause, you can actually avoid or prevent from occurring. So it sounds like a very complicated and complex program, which quite honestly it is. If you try to go out and get all these things separately, which I used to basically recommend all of my patients to do, and then I realized it was just too much to ask of them. So that's why I wrapped it all into the 3-step trifecta. But bottom line is the 3-step trifecta has everything that I just mentioned here. But if you choose not to get it through the trifecta, no problem. Just make sure you're getting these things as part of your daily skincare routine. And most importantly, you're using it consistently day in and day out, literally forever, because that's where you're going to start to see real change happening through that basic compounding effect of consistency and continuity in commitment over time, which is what we call the 3 C's. And in my opinion, the simpler the system, the easier it is to do that. And that was really the motivation behind the trifecta. But at the end of the day, like I said, if you choose to do them separately, make sure you're doing in a comprehensive way. And number 5 in the hierarchy is office-based collagen stimulating treatments. Now, remember, it's all about collagen stimulation. So what are you gonna do? Every single time you create a little bit of an injury on the surface of your skin, that skin injury causes a cascade of molecular events that lead the fibroblasts to stimulating more collagen in an injury response, right? It's basically, oh, there's a break in our skin, we need to heal it, and how is it gonna heal it? It heals it with collagen production. So this is another hack against that downward curve. So what are things? Stuff that I like is stuff that's relatively inexpensive, that's easy to do, doesn't have a big downtime. So I like microneedling, I like light chemical peels. I like light laser peels, although both chemical peel and laser does have a little bit of a downtime associated with it. I mean, I guess microneedling does too, but it's more like 24 hours of redness, etc. And then for the brown pigments and things like that, you know, obviously you want to use like IPL or BBL to help bust up those pigments. But collagen stimulation is a huge value but that's something you would want, treatments that do those are things that you go to the office for. Now, put it all in perspective. Most people, and correct me if I'm wrong, but most people don't do it in this order. The order that you should be doing things in is sun protection number 1, diet number 2, lifestyle number 3. You get that squared away, then you get into a solid daily skincare routine that's actually gonna be doing something to your skin. And then you start using office-based treatments. That's the hierarchy. Now, a lot of people that, I talk to, my patients and people, et cetera, they're like, oh yeah, once or twice a year, I go and I get a deep laser resurfacing. I'm doing the best I can for my skin. What happens in between when the laser is done and you've healed from that? Well, that's it. I mean, you're still back, your curve is back down again. You might get a bump and you might improve things, but you're back down. You go get IPLs on a regular basis. What happens then? You knock off all these pigments from the surface of the skin, but then what happens? All the pigment starts to come back because you're not suppressing melanocytes from producing pigments in the first place. That's why sun protection and the use of daily consistent skincare is so important, because it's working on a daily level to suppress pigments and stimulate collagen. So at the end, that curve starts to turn around for you and work in your benefit. And then you want to get a boost. You want to bump up everything. Then you go ahead and enhance the program with in-office treatments, which is beautiful to do, very effective to do, but you got to get the order right. Never do it in the opposite order. Never omit this step, because this is how you're going to win the game. Trust me, I've been at this thing for 20 years, watching and learning from my own mistakes is the way I recommended things. My paradigms have shifted all along the way, but I really believe logically that this is the approach that makes the most sense, that is the least inconvenient, that's the most effective, but it has to be a lifestyle, and it has to be something you do over time. And if you do it, trust me, we see enough of positive outcomes. We see people who've done this inadvertently their whole lives, and those are the ones that teach me the most. When I talk to like a 70-year-old who's been doing it and their skin looks incredible, I'm like, okay, there you have it. They've been on retinols for like 40 years and been out of the sun for their whole life, and their skin literally hasn't aged. So there's a lot of promise and a lot of hope in this, and it's never too late, by the way, to get organized in this way. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned from it. If you haven't already, make sure you hit subscribe for more Skin School and facial rejuvenation videos. Have a look, peruse through some of our library and see more great topics. If you enjoyed it, hit like, send it to some friends. If you have any questions whatsoever, or you just want to send me a comment, drop it in the comments below. It is my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Dr. Amir Karam.